All right. Yes. We are back for another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me as my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a long one. Must be the subject matter. Got to be the subject matter. Good evening, people. Welcome to our broadcast on the culture of disrespect and its far reaching impact on education. On Monday, tonight, November 24th, the title of the show will be called Classroom Culture Crisis. Can we fix it? As we navigate the complexities of modern society, it's undeniable that a culture of disrespect has seeped into our schools, affecting students, teachers, and the very fabric of our education system. From verbal abuse and physical aggression to social inclusion and cyberbullying, disrespect has become our persuasive issue that undermines academic progress, fosters negative emotions, and erodes the sense of safety and community in our schools. In this broadcast, we will explore the root causes of this culture of disrespect, its devastating impact on education, and most importantly, we will discuss solutions and strategies to promote a culture of respect, empathy, and inclusivity. It's time to stand against disrespect and work towards a future where every student feels valued, heard, and supported. Join us as we tackle this critical issue and explore ways to restore respect in our schools. Stay tuned for a thought provoking discussion on the culture of disrespect and its impact on education. Please like and share our video, and don't forget to tell an educator or parent to tell another educator or parent to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. 986 subs. Getting there, yes, getting there. Slowly but surely. We are getting there. 14 away from 1K. So I'm trying to wrap this up by the end of the year to go into the new year with 1,000 subscribers. And it's get knocking on the door. Feel good too. I mean, it takes years to build it up. Some people faster than others, but I think we just try to do it the natural, organic way, and it's slowly, you know. And I believe once you get to that 1K, then that 2K is gonna come quick, and then next day, you have 10K and whatever the case is. But here we are, nevertheless. Short work week. Thanksgiving is has arrived. Always a good time for many, for us family coming together or time to eat, gain weight, hopefully get a peace of mind, and kind of recharge uh, for the month of December. But we'll get more into that um, shortly. So, far as any housekeeping information for me, it's just trying to close out these last few days. I can tell by the day it's the time it's time to buckle up for tomorrow, and then we have a half day on Wednesday, so which is good, but I would prefer a full day off. And I think it would be important to just value that time for educators to have that time if they want to travel. Um, you know, Many people are traveling out of state. Give them that day of Wednesday to travel so they can get to where they want to by Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, and they can wake up and can be where they need to be on Thanksgiving. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know who comes up with this stuff and what are they thinking, but sometimes you got to think about the interest of the people that work for you and their mental health, their peace of mind, and all that. So, but I guess a half day is better than no day. In previous years, we would work a full day on Wednesday, and then if you wanted to travel. You would have to do it right after school or get up Thursday morning, but that kind of takes away from if you're on the road Thursday, um, Thursday during Thanksgiving. By the time you get there, you're only gonna be a shell of yourself. You're gonna be tired and not really ready to engage in all the family fun and atmosphere. And let alone if you buy, well, I guess if you get away in advance, but I'm sure during that time, plane tickets and all that stuff just skyrocket. So just something to think about. Another factor, and when we talk about the classroom culture crisis, can we fix it? But Big Bad Wolf, what's going on with you? Any housebreaking information?
No, man. Just I'm gonna push the renovations back till spring. Trying to strip this wood has been proving to be a little bit on the difficult side, particularly with it being so cool in here. I found out that the stripper works better when it's warmer, so I'm gonna push all that back, and it doesn't really. It's not going to impact me that much because the basement is dry enough to where I can use the heater. So the implementation of the wood pellet heater can also wait too, which means I can go ahead and do some other things. But I'm going to sit tight right now. I'm pretty much set for the winter. Vacation plans for my birthday and New Year's Eve, they're just about set. Ah man, shit. I'm looking to close out number 53 with a bang and bring the new year with a bigger bang. And so yeah, I got nothing to complain about, man. Hopefully, everybody that was impacted by the government shutdown has gotten back to being on the good foot. And like David said, the upcoming weekend festivities, please, above all, be safe. It's the number one drinking day of the year for those of you who don't know. So Uber, Lyft, designated driver, employ them with impunity. We want to see next month, next year, and into future years. We don't want to see you doing anything stupid and getting yourself twisted up.
Yeah. And speaking of that, people, and I know people do it, when you're in an environment and you're drinking and having fun, there's no need to go bar hopping. There's no need to go bar hopping when you got drinks, music, and people that you're surrounded with love. I don't know what the issue is with that you may feel like you got to be on the scene. Everything they play at the club, you have access to play it now on your phones. A lot of people have those karaoke machine speakers, and you hook your phone up to it. You're around people. You can be silly. You can be safe. Some of y'all like that wildfire. Yeah, yeah, I like that. And you just, again, you never know who is having what type of day and having excuse my language, a fucked up holiday and decide, oh, I'm gonna go to this club or I'm gonna cut the fuck up. Whoever can get it, and you just happen to be in there and something happens. Or you're on the road driving and you have some idiot that's drunk and driving down the one way thing or going down the highway the wrong way because they had too much. Because again, I keep saying a lot of the stuff is social, like the social impact of stuff is getting to people where people out here doing crazy things. And all it takes is like a momentary slip of insanity and you do something crazy and it could be some faculties lost due to that. So just be safe, be in a good environment, and ain't shit out in those streets like that. Not really. It ain't. And I know sometimes if family come in town, you may be urged, all right, let me take them out and show them a good time. But if you're in a good environment with a lot of room and space and with loved ones, call it a night there. Call it a night there, especially if it's somewhere comfortable. Because even if
Yeah,
you that drunk popped or whatever, you could probably stay there and wake up and live to see another day. because every day we see throughout RIPs, rest in peace, or something fatal happened to somebody, and you're like, oh wow, like damn, that happened on Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving night, or stuff like that. Just be safe as far as that. Now, to get to this subject matter, we always, even my promo, I talk about the 10 core subject areas that we talk about. So, for you, if you just tuning in or if you check it out later, here are the 10. Um, Often the conversations deal with relationships, family, friendships, um, loyalty, mistrustful situations, education, health issues, job and career issues, um, the dating game, and child drama. Uh, and those been my 10 core subject areas since, what was it, 2014,
Yeah.
when Cocktail Conversations came out. So this education one is is big because we always talk about the children are our future. Well, our future is now. It's now. We're setting the tone right now. It's not the future when they get 21, 30. It's right now when they're 5, 6, 10 years old, 12, 13. These are the cornerstone years that kind of could set the tone for someone, especially when you think about the middle school years. It could be make or break uh, years, whether they decide to, because I often tell I have eighth graders this year. Yeah, I tell them, once you leave out of these doors, the real world begins as a ninth grader. And I know that seems intimidating to think like, damn, 13, 14, the real world begins. Because if you mess up that ninth grade year and blow it off, you can dig yourself in a hole as far as your plans as far as a 4 year college. But it's ways to navigate around that too. If that is the case, then you can always go the community college route, go there for 2 years, get back on track, then transfer to a 4 year. But the real world begins when you walk through those high school doors, because you're not the hand holding won't be the same as it is maybe the first month or so in high school, so you could get acclimated. But after that, things start cooking real fast, and you'll see the difference. So I always try to let them know and prepare them. This is what's in store. So we're going to go deeper into that. Any initial comments from you, Big Bad Wolf, about classroom culture crisis?
Just one. And it's kind of ironic that we're talking about culture without getting into too much detail. No matter where you go, there you are, and that means taking your culture with you. And a lot of people seem to not understand that when you out and about and you do things that put yourself in harm's way, expect harm to reach out and touch you. We had a gentleman, let's just say he almost ended up roadkill because he was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing that he probably does back home. People, don't do dumb shit. That's all I can say. I don't want to reveal too much because I don't want to get in trouble with the constabularies, should I say. So mind your P's and Q's when you're not at home, not in your hometown anyway, or in your
Mm.
unfamiliar place.
All right. So to dive into this subject, like I said, I've been in this game for 32 years. 32 years. Let me break that down to you as well. Like 10 years at the college level, 8 years at the high school level. This is my, I think, maybe 12th year, maybe my 12th year at the middle school level. When you've been in so long, you forget the years. And I did like 1 year elementary, but also some little time here and there when I used to just like do little teacher aid stuff and just like um, go into the schools, the interning and all of that stuff. So 32 years, and it's becoming to be a wild scene uh, in education. And one of the things when I say the verbal abuse, things that are being said, the way that these young people speak, it could blow your mind. It blows your mind. Like to hear they be small as hell, little as hell, but the things that come out their mouth and the things that they say to teachers and staff, and you know, often one of the things that has been said, especially for like male educators or who males that wanted to be in that career, they say, I can't do it. I can't do it. I end up being in jail. And part of it is the respect level, the way kids talk to adults. And some men, even some women, but we're going to speak on men from a man's perspective, not built like that. They're not built for, kids that call you a bitch ass or shut the fuck up and all the things that come out. And I'm sorry, you may say, "Oh, you sounding like gender bias and all." When you don't have a great deal of men in buildings like that, that's more. It's security minded. It's security minded. Don't get me wrong. There's great women leaders that do well and all that, but when it come down to it, we know that these kids gonna tussle. We know that they gonna fight. And you're not built for it. That would be the more reason why you have to push the get more males in the education in the school systems, because that's just a part of it. And I know people think, oh, well, they shouldn't be fighting, they should go there to learn and do this and that. But anytime, and that's just been the evolution of society. Anytime people have conflict, there's going to be fights, there's going to be going back and forth, and I think that's just law. And so you got to expect that there's going to be some altercations. Hey, don't get me wrong. And I know a lot of times alcohol is included in that, but adults can't even go nowhere too long without shit, fights breaking out or people arguing and carrying on. So just think about as far as kids who are not emotionally, don't even their emotional intelligence isn't at the right level and their brains are not fully developed and they make irrational decisions. So you got to be prepared for that. But that verbal abuse is major. And oftentimes, like I probably shared last week before, I said, I'm the guy that I'm not a disciplinary at school. I'm a counselor. So, and I happen to be laid back, and I realized that humor is a very vital part of getting through the work day. So they may cuss, they may carry on. It's not a battle that I fight all the time. Uh, and if someone does get slick out of the mouth with me and they playing around, then I have the tools and the necessary ability. Remember, this game is also a game of manipulation with kids. So I have the tools to be able to break them down. Like, yo, I'm not about to do this, or shit, your parent right on speed dial as soon as I go to my office, or you could come with me. We could call them on speakerphone. We could do whatever and let them know what you just said. And typically, oh no, no, okay, I apologize. I'm sorry, I was just joking, or whatever the case is. But that's just with me. Not everybody is cut like that, and they'll say stuff. And with the verbal abuse, and a lot of teachers fold up, leave work that day crying, upset. Some never return. The verbal abuse is key. But you know what? It all starts from home anyway.
Mhm.
So as parents, stop letting them speak that way. Uh, I mean, obviously they pick it up from somewhere. But like I think I shared last week or the week before, I don't give a damn if you 30, 40 years old. You need to speak to your parent a certain way. If you do swear or say something, it should be excuse my language as a disclaimer and all that. You shouldn't just be open to be able to say what the hell you want to a parent. I think that's the shift, and we talked about the shift. That's the shift in the culture that allows them to feel comfortable and they think they can say anything to anybody, which carries on to okay, we're in the school. Oh, I think I could do this in the streets. Nah, G. Nah, you might got some psycho person you think you could tell shut the fuck up or whatever, or you in
Just that.
somebody's yard, and they say, "Could you please step out of my yard and or get away from my car or whatever," and you're like, "Oh, fuck your car and all that." And they might come behind your ass. Excuse me, what you say? And they don't give a damn. You go get your daddy, your uncle, or whatever, and you just never know what you're gonna run up into. I always say, KYP, know your personnel. And I'm gonna pass the baton on to Herb, and I'm just gonna stop right there at the verbal abuse.
And I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna tell you now. When I was doing some volunteer mentoring, like David said, they size you up. They size you up. I remember one time being in the cafeteria. Young student asked the same age as David. We were dealing with same grades, seventh and eighth. Who are you? And I replied, "How well do you read?" Young student replies, "Very well." I said, "Well, what does my name badge say?" She said, "Mr. Lewis." I said, "That's who I am." She said, "No, no, 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 no. That's not what I mean." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "Who are you?" I said, "You just read." "Yeah, but what are you doing here?" "Well, that's none of your business." And she recorded, like, "What do you mean to tell me that's none of my business? Don't you know who I am?" So, people, it's real. And a lot of these teachers, especially if they're less than a decade experience, they weren't taught for this in college. They weren't prepared for this kind of hostile environment, if you will. And like David said, it starts at home. I don't care who you are, what culture you come from, what age you are. All of the academic training, the foundation for learning, the foundation for being able to be taught, because they're not the same thing. Okay, people will say, "Well, what's the difference?" If I show up to school ready to learn, chances are I'm going to learn. But if I show up to school and something's not right at home, no matter how willing and ready I am to learn, I am never going to be able to be taught because I'm distracted. I want to introduce something. David may have heard of this before, but I'm going to introduce something for the larger audience called ACEs. And this stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences and Parenting. This is something I got introduced at my other job, and it's interesting. And I've always said this before, especially when I ran for school board. Three facets of a student's life: homeschooling and community. If any of those fail, that child is at risk for not doing well. One, they may make it. Two, they in trouble. Three, you can forget about it. And what we don't understand, and this is why we always talk about wraparound experiences, so that child that is missing something at home, they have a parent that's impacted, whether that parent has a drug issue, a substance abuse issue, it could be one and the same, a psychological issue, or there's only one parent at home, so they're missing that balance. Because a lot of people, whether it's a single mother or a single father, there's always something missing in a single parent home. And I know I'm well aware what the statistics say about single men creating a better environment for the children. I'm not here to discuss that. I'm not here to debate that. I'm simply saying there's something missing when you don't have both parents in the home. Period. And that's the foundation that sets that culture. Because a father, yeah, he can create all the structure you want to, but once that child leaves at home and that child doesn't adhere completely to that structure, that child can get to school just like David talks about the young girl putting secondary clothing in their book bag and pulling it out when they get to school. These kids are under a tremendous amount of influence that we didn't have to deal with when we were their age. Social media, their peers, and their peers are probably more of a bigger impediment, if you will, than social media because they're there. They're applying pressure sometimes like a tourniquet. And we know, especially in these formative years, is around this seventh, eighth grade, that these kids can be very impressionable and they don't want to be by themselves. They want to belong to a group. They want to belong to quote unquote a clique. They can't ride it out alone. And if they do ride it out alone, they're a target for being bullied. And you don't want your kids to have to go up to fight when they go to school just because they want to be different. You got some coaches that tease the studious kid because he or she is smart. They may not have the latest fashion, or as they say now, what do they call it, drip?
Bottom. And that might be it might be a new one now. I just can't think of it right now, whatever. But yeah.
It's tougher now being a kid than it was when we came up. It's the ball game has changed. The landscape is like Mars's pockmarked. Mars. Let me say the moon because the moon's a better representation. More people have seen the surface of the moon than Mars. Pockmarked, boulders strewn everywhere, and if you ain't careful, you fall into one. By the time somebody realizes what's going on, it's too late. The damage is done. You've been bullied for for 2 months out of the school year. Your grades are starting to suffer, and people say, "Well, they used to be a straight A student. What happened? They've been getting their lunch money taken. Nobody knows. Nobody's clued in anything. Nobody speaks to the student after school. Nobody asks how the student's day went because the parent's preoccupied working. So when the parent gets home, all the time, the only time the parent has is to prepare a meal and get some rest before they go to sleep and get back up, rinse, wash, and repeat. Um, we are awash in community need. Period. You know, from the two parent home, and make no mistake, just because there's a two parent home doesn't mean that child is getting everything that that child needs. It could be two parents who are fighting, two parents who are only together because they decided to get married early because they created a child. They didn't get married because they really care about each other. You know, they wanted to create a family in the bonds and safety of two people. Now, and I'm sure some of you are, and we'll probably touch on this in the future, the Brian McKnight situation. Now, I think that is just unfortunate. However, this is what occurs when people just get to their wits end and just say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to open this bag and I'm going to pour all the contents out. And however the contents hit the table, that's how they hit the table. Because there's a lot of people that are saying he's wrong. If what he said, now I've only listened to a snippet of the interview. I have to do that when I get the opportunity. If that's the way he feels, then what makes that wrong? The impact that it has on the child, like I talked about the ACEs, the adverse childhood experience. But these His younger kids are adults. They're young adults. But what we know now is that just because a child has reached their mid 20s doesn't mean they're mentally fully functional and capable. And now those kids have had kids. So that's what they're gonna learn at home. Dysfunctional ways. They're gonna take that to school, and it's like a bad apple in the bunch. Eventually, it permeates through the school or permeates through the classroom. Those kids say, "Well, why does such and such get away with this? They can behave like this. I don't want to sit near them." Well, there's nowhere else to sit. Or put me in the back of the class or somewhere. This is what students will do to get away from some people, and sometimes they just can't. Or maybe the teacher doesn't believe them because the teacher never sees it. Every time the teacher's back turned, they're writing something on the whiteboard, as it is now, no longer the chalkboard. Students poking them, messing with them. It's tough out here. It's really rough. So and I always advocate for people, go to school, pop in there once every 2 3 weeks, and it doesn't necessarily have to be um, middle school, high school. Like David said, it starts young. Go check out the elementary school culture. Check out how the students interact with the teachers, and more importantly, how the teachers interact with each other, because that's something that a lot of people do not see. A lot of people don't see adult interaction. And sometimes, if you have adults who don't get along, they carry that attitude into the classroom. So if you have a work environment where the adults don't get along, they don't like each other, and there's some backdoor bickering, and an admin doesn't know about it,
Um,
that's going to permeate too.
Swept under the rug often, often, and I often tell everybody, like I said, being in the game for so long, I'm like, yo, these professional developments ain't hitting on nothing because you have issues where people don't get along. Like you said, people trying to backdoor, people trying to undermine you, people trying to set you up, people trying to frame you, and and the thing about it, kids can pick up on that stuff too. They see it. They see it. They're very observant, just like adults. And I want to go back to the point when you made about bullying and the lunches. A lot of times, I can be in the cafeteria and I can just sit back and watch,
Hmm.
and I see things, and I see certain kids, the popular kids, they going around, and you might have a kid that's quiet, timid, and they just in lunch, 30 minutes trying to enjoy their lunch. Then you have someone that they don't even interact, and they going up and asking this kid for their snacks, and of course they're gonna be like, okay, I gotta hand it over because I know I'm in the class with that person. I know how they roll. So
Hmm.
let me get them this bag of chips. Let me give them this can of soda, um, or whatever. And then if it gets to me, or sometimes I may come up to just stop the person randomly, like, hey, I seen during lunch. Do you even know that person? And they ask you for your stuff. No, but they just asked me, and I just gave them. Nah. Sometimes they'll tell their parent, then it get to me, and then I'll talk to the kid. Like, listen, long as you see me in that cafeteria, and if you don't feel comfortable, uh, or you can send somebody else, let me know. I do not tolerate that. You do not have to give nobody your food or give them your snacks because obviously you enjoy those snacks. So you want to eat that in peace. This is your time to take a break before you go back into the classroom and deal with the rigor of the curriculum as much as you can get through. But
Hmm.
I observe that type of stuff, and I don't like it. And then sometimes I call out a kid, like, yo, why did you just go ask them for, the popular
Yeah.
things that they be now, Takis? They had them, and I just decided. Do you even know that person? No, but so why would you ask them for something? Uh, Well, Mr. Glover, what difference? Because you don't interact with somebody, all of a sudden you come up to them asking for their food, and they're going to give it to you just because you're loud, you're rude, or whatever the case is. Leave people alone. If you want it, then bring it yourself.
Yeah.
And they may not like to hear that response, but I I, I I don't like people that's being bothered when they're just trying to be at peace. I don't. I never could stand that. I never liked bullies or people like that. I'll go to bat with somebody else before I let somebody get picked on and people trying to um, kind of take away power from others. So those things are real, and it impacts academic progress. It impacts the overall social aspect of school because now you're at lunch and you're like, oh, I hope they. You're hoping and pray. You got to kind of have your head down. Like, please don't stop by here. Please don't stop by here. This is a good lunch I packed. I don't want to be. Uh, but it's so crazy to me. Like prime example today. Like sometimes kids they may have a Chick-fil-A or their
Mhm.
parents might drop off something. They bring it to the cafeteria and everybody's asking for it. Can I
Yeah.
have some? Can I have some? Can I have some? And the one student, and they're a popular student, and they can fight. As a female, and they got frustrated. Oh my God, I can't even eat. Everybody keep asking. Simply tell them no. Simply tell them no. If I really could tell them what to say in an appropriate way, get the fuck out my face and quit asking me for something. You do not have to say, if you don't want, no, I'm eating. Get away from me. And the frustration level. And I'm like, this shouldn't even be taking place. You eating your food? Simple answer is no. The answer is no. But then I do understand how all of this works because, like I say, at one point, my son, he would go out, ride his bike. I used to call him the mayor of our little community, ride his bike up and down, be all over the place. But then all of a sudden, he stopped taking his bike outside. Didn't want to ride it no more. Ooh, why don't you ride your bike no more? Oh, because everybody keep asking me, could they ride my bike? Could they ride my bike? Well, you could tell them no. And it's easy as an adult to say that. But I
Yeah.
know when we as kids, sometimes you would let somebody ride your bike. AKA, I always bring this up. Uh, Shout out to Nuki Moore. James Moore, I'm calling you out. Let him ride your bike. You wouldn't get it back for 3 days. But he was my homeboy, though. But and we could fight or whatever, but we still it was always love. We were still gonna be cool with each other, but so I understand those pressures. And then as kids, I just don't want to ride no more, or whatever, because you get tired. Let me ride, let me ride, let me ride. Or you take your basketball out. Let me get your basketball out. So sometimes you say, nah, I'd rather not. I'd rather not. But you're taking away joy from others,
Mhm.
which which is unfortunate. So parents, for the kids that's begging and asking, get your shit right so your kid don't have to their lack of necessities have to impact kids who have it and it impacts their enjoyment in life. Get because you're the blame. You get your shit together so that your kids can have that. And I know y'all are like, well, that's harsh. Maybe people just don't have it like that. Well, if you don't, you still need to instill in them, don't bother nobody else's peace. Don't interrupt nobody else's peace. And I think that's one of the bigger issues too. That a lot of people's pieces get interrupted because of other people's behavior. I'm gonna pass the baton because I'm about to
I'm
get
going.
heated with that one.
There's a with this ACEs thing. There's a quiz, and I'm going to do this slowly, so in case people want to write this down, they can. There's one, two, three. There's 10 questions that this quiz asks, and it asks, "Does any of this sound familiar?" All right, and this is during your childhood. Did you ever feel like your parents or adults insulted, embarrassed, or were verbally abusive to you? Get spankings that left bruises, or did you get hit often by someone more powerful than you? Ever experience unwanted sexual contact by someone older than you? Feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were special? Have to go without food or clean clothes often or very often? See or hear your parents or adults in your home hit, punch, beat, or threaten to harm each other? Live with anyone who had problems with drinking too much, using prescription or illegal drugs? Lose a parent through divorce, abandonment, death, or other reason? And the last one, I'm sorry, second to last one, live with anyone who was mentally ill, depressed, or attempted suicide. And the last one, witness anyone go to jail or prison. Now, I'm only going to speak for the United States of America because that's where I live. So people who are potentially listen to this from a different country or ethnicity or culture, this may not apply. We know in certain demographics in this country that spousal abuse or domestic violence, drug use, as I mentioned earlier, those are prevalent. And as a child having to deal with that, it can leave you feeling a certain way. Distorted, uneasy when you go to school, you stick out. And believe it or not, kids are just like adults. There are many detectives. Something's wrong with that kid. We're gonna find out. And it's not necessarily that people want to find out to bully this kid. They may want to know why you always come to school looking like you got the weight of the world on your shoulders, or you you like you everything's not right because they see this kid outwardly. So this kid might come from a two-parent home. Doctor might be a lawyer. Mother might be a lawyer. Father might be a doctor. And they see this kid got on all the latest clothing. Go to lunch. This student has the best food. Always has a crowd around them. They're Mr. Popular, Mrs. Popular. But inside they're empty. They hollow. There's nothing there. And people can't figure out why. So they start asking questions. And the person clams up, it's just one of those days. But one of those days turns into just one of those weeks. Next thing you know, a few weeks have passed, and his child, they're a shell of what a child should be at that age. They're not carefree, which at that particular, I know the rigors start to get higher in terms of academics, but they still should be relatively childlike, innocent, you know, happy, if you will. But they're not because they're dealing with the situation at home. And as the song goes, nobody knows it but me. And heaven forbid if there's an age gap between that child and another one of his or her siblings. So if there's a 5 year age gap, which doesn't really seem significant in terms of children, it is when you're talking about school. Because if that child's in the fifth grade and their siblings in the 11th, that 11th grader is hell bent, especially if they're playing sports. They're hell bent on sports. They're hell bent on their own social life, social media. They're looking towards their senior year, getting ready to pick out schools. They ain't paying no attention to the younger sibling, so they're unaware. The parents are unaware, and that kid is in a world of adult things with childhood abilities. David always talks about, you know, these kids are dealing with adult things at a young age. And you know what? The more he says it, the more I look at it, I'm like, he's absolutely correct. They're dealing with things that we never had to deal with. So they take all that to school, and it impacts their ability to learn. And it's that culture at home. While the culture may not be toxic, it's not conducive for them to grow up and be functional adults. And this is what a lot of people don't see. We talk about the impoverished people because we expect problems from the impoverished people. We expect them to go to school and misbehave. Why? Because they're growing up in the ghetto. That's what we say. Oh, they got single parent. Oh, hell. We already know why they're misbehaving. But what do we say about the home with two parent kids? Where where the parents now they fought so much that they're doing a trial separation. People say, well, I mean, that's life. Yes, it is for adults, but not for the child. How do you tell a 10-year-old child that mommy and daddy don't like each other to the point where they fuss every night? They keep them up every night. All of a sudden now the kid starts to have nightmares because people are yelling and they're not well adjusted. Who you go to school and talk to? More than likely that teacher might have their own problems. More than likely that teacher don't care. More than likely that teacher doesn't know anything about ACEs. So they say, well, why should I have to deal with it? It's not my problem. That's his parents' problem. They created the situation. They created the environment. And this is where teachers, and David always talks about, part education, part social. Um, is gonna I think the educational system, the way where it was for us, is gonna have to undergo a rapid redevelopment and change for the faculty to be able to deal effectively with what some of these kids are going through because we were never set up to be like this. You go back to education such as it was in the 1950s, 60s. Half of the things that these students go through were never present. More than likely, there was always a two-parent home. You didn't have to worry about no parent being there because society wasn't structured like that. For the most part, women didn't work. So there was always an adult at home. Everybody pretty much was on the same plane in terms of their economics, what they send their kids to school to do, and how to behave because it was expected and there was a precedent set throughout the culture, no matter where you came from. There was basic behavior and it was adhered to it by everybody. There was no difference whether you came from a Hispanic home, which were few and far between. The predominant communities were Native Black Americans or African Americans, if you will, and Caucasian. But now we're getting an influx of Asians, Middle Eastern, Europeans, Africans, and they're bringing their cultures with them. So what do you have when you have a confluence of cultures and people that think differently, behave differently, and teach their children differently, have a different expectation? You get a whole lot of what the fuck.
Yeah, a mess, a mess in schools and not built for it, not designed for it, and underpaid, and no one wants. Hey, not just because I'm in education, but I also know that if you think about it, no matter what profession you're in, other than, and even those, they have influence by teachers and uh, academic settings, athletes and stuff. Education impacts most careers.
Mm-hmm.
And so for other careers to be making this amount and you want to start off teachers and stuff in some places, it got better. But I know when I was transitioning to the public school sector and you was looking at starting pay, some of it was, you know, 20 some thousand, 30 some thousand. And even back then I said, bar none, no matter what district, teachers, educators should easily start off at about 70,000 to begin. Day one, walking in, walking in. But it seems to be a lack of respect, and that goes into part of the subject too about jobs satisfaction
Mhm.
and mental health of teachers because they say I don't be paid enough to do this. I'm supposed to be a teacher. I got to be a social worker. I got to be a counselor. I got to be a security guard. I got to do all of this. All I want to do is teach. The reason why I want to teach because my mother was a teacher, my father was a teacher, and that's why I went into education. And everything was right back in their days. So I thought I was going to jump into it, but I was never prepared for this disrespectful culture that we're in uh, today. And it's it's wild. And you got to be built for it. You got to be prepared. And the one thing you have to say, listen, I'm not going to let no kid, nobody take away my livelihood. But some people know themselves and they know they only could take so much. You only be going to be called so many bitches and fuck you so many times before you say, you know what, I'm about to just walk out and just leave the damn classroom and never show back up so many times. And especially if you feel that your position is not heard and it's always leaning toward the kids is right, just like in customer service, the customers is always right. That's bullshit. They're not always right. And I think that phrases like that set the tone for a negative culture because not every customer is right, and some customers are trying to get over, and you're still a human being that you shouldn't be disrespected or yelled at by anybody. So sometimes you hear like conversations and people say, I just hung up the phone. And then they'll
Mhm.
call, or they hung up, and then next thing you know, the person who's getting yelled at and uh, demoralized, they're in trouble because they're supposed to sit there and take a verbal attack from somebody else. Nah, man, everybody got to be treated with compassion and all that. If somebody doing all that, maybe they need a time out, time away before they call back. But nobody needs to be having an earshot of shit poison thrown at them
Yeah.
over and over and over. So it's so much to it. And like I said, as far as the verbal abuse, but even if we move on to like the physical aggression that happens, the horseplay, the playing around, some of that is culture based,
Yeah.
uh, which I can say as a black man, slap boxing and squaring up, that's part of our culture. Even though it's a time and place for everything, but a lot of times you only want to do it when there's an audience. See, we like to show out. we got show out. You only want to do it when you can show out, and sometimes you're showing out in front of female peers. Sometimes you're trying to jockey for the older person who got is at that level. Like, oh, I want to show them I'm down. So, hey, me and this person go square up, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna get props for doing that. But that stuff is brought into schools.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, you may think it done, but it's brought into schools from community stuff. So
Hmm.
it's not like these kids are robots that once they like you could click a button and once they get off the bus or get dropped off by their parents that they're going to come in and be conformed and follow rules and all that. Nah, they bring in home behaviors and community behaviors in the school. So if somebody say, shut the fuck up, you shut the fuck up. What's up? And, and they go get up and they go square up and all that. There's no place for it in schools. But the reality is now there's an audience for it. Cell phones, this and that. Why do you think they race to post fights? because that's going to give them problems. If they're the originator of the first person who posted that video of this big bra, shit, everybody coming to their page. Like, man,
Yep.
hey, yo, that shit, man, that got thousands of views already. So let me connect with them. Let me follow them. It's where we created.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never decided to say we need to change this damn curriculum based on social media and the popularity of that we have to change the curriculum. Now y'all still want to do this old ass shit and think that it's gonna work. So that's what irritate me. But I'm at the end of mine. So I'm saying this, and well, once I transition out of it, I'll sit back and say, "Woo wee, woo wee." I'm glad I'm gone. I'm
Ran the
glad I'm
gauntlet, made it through. Yeah.
because I keep doing the same old thing. Then you're gonna keep having this culture of disrespect because you didn't change up the time. Everybody have to change up the times. Every
Yeah.
every and I always compare leadership and everything to sports. You don't think sports teams, when they general managers, when they hire coaches and all that stuff, some of them get it wrong. Some of them get it wrong. They hire the wrong people. They hire old recycled coaches, but knowing the culture has changed with players, and you got to relate to them. But then some general managers or owners say, man, we got to get a young coach in there that's innovative, that's a people person, that can relate to these players, that when they win games, they can bump chests and be rah rah with these players because it's a different time. It's a
Yeah.
different time. So education needs to get a hold that and realize it's a different time. All that stuff ain't working. So what you got to do is figure out how to get up with the, you know, being forward with the things that's happening now. And we know it's influenced by social media, community based, and all of that stuff. And they're bringing this stuff into schools. They're bringing these same behaviors into jobs. No, there's no wonder why you see these different videos at fast food restaurants and all that stuff. Customers attacking people that work because the people that's working saying shit out of pocket and all of that stuff, or even customers saying stuff out of pocket because we haven't changed with time. We haven't done anything to change with time, and we think, oh, culture is supposed. I don't know what we're thinking. Well, maybe some people are. Well, I just got to pray to God, and things gonna be all right. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. We keep telling y'all, keep doing that. I'm just gonna pray. What they say, pray without work is dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of dead ass people walking around.
Dead on
You very
arrival.
much will, but you dead mentally, and I think that's where we at with a lot of aspects. I digress.
Two things you mentioned that that I have to address. One, just like you said, you got customers or some people misbehaving towards employees. Now, this past week, ironically, the same individual who got himself into some hot water doing some things he shouldn't have been doing. Now, needless to say, we have luggage carts in the hotel. People rarely return them to wherever they got them from. Why, I don't know. Like I said, that's the culture you take with you wherever you go. You do what you do at home, you do wherever you go. So I'm relocating two of them to the rightful place. Some gentleman comes up behind me, and I use the term gentleman very loosely, engages in two, not one, but two ear piercing whistles. I turn around, I'm thinking, who the hell is this? And he yells, put those back. I look at this guy, I'm like, dude, what is your man thinking? And he comes up towards me and he tries to hug me. And I'm, dude, back up. Get up off me. Now, some lesser people, dude may have been picking himself up off the floor. And that's what I told some people. I said, if we was on the street, money would have got mollywop. Because you don't do that to people. But for me, That's disrespectful. You treat me like I'm a dog. That's the last thing I'm going to be doing. That's the last thing I'm going to subject myself to is what I consider to be ill treatment and disrespect. Number two, David spoke about cultural things, especially among black males. I'm going to mention a few things. Some of you may have heard of these terms. Some of you may have engaged in these things. Number one, snatchies. Snatchies was a thing when we were kids. So you had to be careful and mindful of walking around with something that somebody want, and you say, hey, we playing snatches, you in? Yeah, I'm in. Not thinking you could be victimized. and if the teachers see it and they don't know what's going on, they think you bullying and stealing something from the kids. So what happens? You sit down to the office as a disciplinary problem, and you try to explain to admin, no, we playing a game. And the admin says, what kind of game allows you or permits you to steal something from somebody? You say that's not stealing, that's the game. It's called snatches. If you got something you walk around with and I see it, I snatch it from you. That's what we do that all the time. Mm-hmm. And you don't see it. You get sent to in-school suspension or whatever it is. They call your parents, telling your parents you're stealing stuff from people, and next thing you know, they're getting the authorities involved, and all of this spring out because they don't understand the culture. Number two, and this is something that we play. I don't think they play this anymore because cats might be getting knocked out. Butchie Baker. For those of you who have never heard the game, Butchie Baker was simple. Anytime you said a word that began with B, you got punched until you said Butchie Baker, and it didn't matter if somebody caught you with a
I don't think I ever played. I don't think I ever partaked in that game.
Butchie Baker was wild.
I heard about it. Yeah,
Butchie Baker was wild, man. Because you, if you caught a cat with a good shot and you knocked the wind out of him, they couldn't say anything. So here you are hammering on this cat. The wrong person see it, they think you fighting. Say, no, man, we playing a game called Butchie Baker. What the hell type of game is that? And you explain it to them, and because they're not part of the culture, they don't understand. So what happens? You get sent down to the office as a disciplinary problem. They call your parents, and your parents don't know these games because their parents never played them. My mother never heard of Butchie Baker. She never heard of snatches. She'd have thought, why you snatching something from somebody? It ain't yours. You ain't paid for it. Just it's almost the same as walking up to the kid that has something in the lunchroom and you asking for it. You don't know him. Why you engage that kind of behavior? And number three, we used to play the hand slap game where you put your hands in there, and if it twitch, pow, got him. You hit their hands until they can move them until you miss, and then they just switch up. So those were all cultural things that I engaged in as a kid, especially hell in high school. Yeah, we used to get it in. Butchie Baker, snatches. So I mean, all those things. Butchie Baker, I'm telling you, man, Butchie Baker was fun, man. If you never got hit and you're always doing the hitting, yeah, Butchie Baker was fun as hell.
What was the game where people used to, I don't know, punch bug, no punch back?
Yeah.
When people would see that, you just sitting there chilling, they see a punch bug and like, punch back, no punch back. Just crazy stuff, whatever, that would happen. But the unfortunate thing is moves because of it's a bigger now, and now we have video. We didn't have video. Yeah. Imagine if having video usage of the things that we would do and how many people would have went viral and had and especially if you had monetization during then, like so many things happen or transpire that it would be a lot of people would be sitting around damn near millionaires because of all the content they could have created back. Hey, just for me, and I know Herb, where you grew up at, and Griffin Manor and North Avenue, all the content. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
content we would have had, it would have just been wild. It would have been wild, like a day-to-day thing, whatever. And but this stuff
Yeah.
is being brought into schools that's creating this climate and culture. But again, yeah, I know it's happening. Uh, the powers to be, some of you, some of y'all straight from the hood, that's superintendents and all of that stuff. But all of a sudden, I don't know if you're trying to say the right things to keep your job or whatever the case is, but it ain't work. And I'm only checking the shell of it. Like I keep telling you, when I walk away from this, I'm telling it all. I'm telling it all. Whatever. I'm being nice right now. I'm being right because I still gotta have my livelihood. But y'all gonna be like, damn, there this dude, there go this damn man again. There he go. He done told it all. But you know what? They gonna say, shit, we listened to him because he didn't get it all. He like a goat. Again, you'll be hard pressed to find anybody who worked at all levels of education. You'll be hard pressed. You might have people that worked through the elementary, but they never worked at the college setting. And you'll be hard pressed to find that. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned because when I talk about classroom culture and all this stuff, I'm being nice right now. Really nice. Um, and we talked about the verbal, the physical aggression, and again, a lot of it, if you think about it, relates to social media, the culture,
Mhm.
and all that. When you talk about cyberbullying and all that stuff, some kids get a battery in their back, whatever, on social media. They say stuff, they post stuff, and it has nothing to do with the day to day stuff. It could be something that happened over the weekend, but it comes back into the school. You know why? Because it's an audience. They need to perform, they need an audience. Just their little 10, 12 people in a little circle or in their neighborhood, and maybe some middle school kids and maybe some high school kids. Uh, but when you get into school, you got the audience. And everybody's chasing popularity. A lot of them are chasing popularity. You have a great percentage of kids go to school and do what they need to do, and really don't say much. But even those kids, I say, some way, somehow, they have to find a way out of their shell to, and not in negative stuff, to be a part of stuff. But sometimes they simply don't want to be a part of stuff because of the drama.
Mhm.
No, I don't want to join this club. Oh, I'm not going to go out for the. I'm good at this, but I'm not going to go out for the basketball team because of this or
Mhm.
because of that. Because it's because of all the other issues that may say, "No, I'm good. I'd rather not do it." And again, it's taken away from their ability and their peace. That hey, shit, I'm a good basketball player.
Yeah.
I can shoot. I could shoot real good. I done had a basketball rim in my driveway for years. And I remember growing up in basketball, it just made me think that when we used to be scouting, and our coach at the time, Coach Monty, was like, he's a driveway shooter. Like you leave them open, they're gonna hit shots all the time. So you have kids that can shoot. They may not have all the wiggle and all of the sauce in their game. But you leave them open, they should. They gonna get a bucket. But some of those kids are not gonna play because of all the extra from the other people. So they like, yeah, I could have did this or did that, but I'm not gonna do it because of all the other extra, the climate, the culture, the crisis that we're in, that it impacts. And we're just talking about right now. We ain't even. That's why this probably would be a 2, 3, 4 part series, a show, whatever.
Yeah.
When you think about all the other aspects of it. So
Yeah.
I'll
You
pass that on.
you pull, and this is I got an experiment that I want to run, but I'll hold on to that. This is why, and you mentioned sports. This is why, especially for males, and I imagine with sports coming to line for females, it's could be important for them as a means of escape. And you can take a kid who doesn't have a whole lot, but they may have an athletic aptitude. So you put them on a soccer team, basketball, football, baseball, and they shine. They do well. They're getting notoriety. They're starting to grow in a little bit of popularity, and they start to gain some confidence. And it's like the movie. It's like for anyone who's seen the movie Fences, you get a parent that says, "Well, okay, where's all this coming from? Why are you getting all these people that want to all of a sudden hang out with you and they think you're doing something wrong?" You say, "Nah, I just decided to go out for the baseball team. I could always throw a ball well. I could always do this well. I was always a fast runner." Somebody say, "Hey, you try out." I mean, honestly, for as people who think that is as far fetched as it is, I'm going to testify to my situation personally. Shout out to Coach Giannicola, Sam Giannicola. I played football earlier that year. It's a good athlete. I'm walking through school, and I don't remember what I was doing. I was just hanging out after school. I had nothing to do. He says, "Hey, Lewis, can you touch the basketball rim?" I looked at him. I said, "Come on, Coach G. What you think I am?" I said, "Of course I can." He said, "Come on." I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. Next thing you know, I was running track. Just like that. I never ran track before. I had no inkling of of even trying out for track. Track was the farthest thing from my radar, farthest thing from my thoughts. That year, I ended up going to sectionals. Now, unfortunately, because of my advanced age, I was too old to compete my senior year. Had I competed my senior year, there's no telling how I may have got a scholar. I may have gotten a D1 scholarship, and I'm not necessarily blowing my own horn, but I was that good, naturally gifted. Plus, I put in the work. I had a couple really, really, really good coaches. Um, that year, shout out to Coach Brad Lewis. I'm sorry, Brad Frank. Pardon me. Excellent coach. I had another coach, Mr. White. Shout out to them. I just seen one of my other uh, track coaches too, Coach Martinez. Big shout out to you, man. He was a distance coach, and he's still coaching. So, people, you kids don't know where the opportunity is going to come from. Nobody does. Even as adults, we don't know where our break comes from. We see it all the time in Hollywood. We think it's, oh no, that's a Hollywood story. No, this happens in everyday life. Somebody sees something in somebody and say, "Hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you try it like this?" And next thing you know, they caught their break. We seen it with Sandra Bullock in the movie Demolition Man. She had been an undiscovered actress. So we see it all the time. But back to the classroom setting is this type of thing should be more common. We should be looking for the kids who have talent. We should be looking for the kids who display an ability, but it's latent. But we can't because the culture doesn't allow for it. It doesn't allow for exploratory searching. It doesn't allow for secondary fines. No, they're too busy trying. What is it? Teach to the test, Dave. They're too
Yep.
busy trying to get these standardized tests so the scores are up here and this and that, and they don't lose funding. And the way education sits now, it needs an overhaul. It just does. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it until I'm Dallas Cowboy blue in the face. We need to start bringing all the professional skills we have to the school. It should be a one-stop shop. Kid dealing with depression, we got the teacher here. There's nutritional issues at home, not enough food. Go down to this room, you get what you need. Because what some people would fail to realize is that if these kids fail at the elementary level, you can forget it. They're never going to make it as adults. And with AI coming on, AI is going to displace a lot of people. And you think people are going to stop having sex? Now, with that, people will say, well, that doesn't matter that the replacement level for children is falling. That's true. In most of the Western world, that is true. But that's only going to exacerbate things. Why? Because you have nobody to A, contribute to your tax base, B, take care of the elderly. If there aren't enough people around to take care of the elderly, then who's going to suffer? If there's not enough people around to contribute to your tax base, what suffers? These are the things that people don't take a look at long term. So when people don't take a look at things long term and they start walking around as if everything's a okay and hunky dory, and then the realization comes that taxes got to go up 2%. Now taxes in Niagara Falls just went up 1.2%. Town of Niagara they're going up 5%. Why? Because this area is losing people. No jobs, or jobs that don't pay as much as jobs used to. Because hell, when we got out of high school, you could walk into a factory, get a job for 30 years, pension and retirement. Few and far between now. It really is. So if people not invested in a 401k or doing their own type of investing to make sure that they have enough money, so when they hopefully get to retirement, they're okay. It's tough out here, and for as tough as it is for adults, you can magnify that by a factor of 4 or 5, and just imagine what the kids are dealing with, because the kids have to live with that situation too. The only difference is they can't impact it negatively or positively. They're just along for a ride. It's like being in an amusement park and getting on one of those rides that spin you. They're just along for the ride. And if nobody understands what they're going through, if nobody seeks to see if they're okay, that could be one hell of a ride.
Yeah, you said a lot. And one of the things I think about too, when you realize that even in the school system, when you come up with all these programs to try to push kids out early graduation and all that stuff, you could take classes at a community college. Is that really the solution? Is that really the solution? To think that someone, and you see stuff on social media, oh, this 13, 14-year old has the aptitude that they can attend college and all that stuff, academic wise, but
Mm-hmm.
socially, could they function? And that's the thing. Why keep pushing kids out when they're socially not ready?
Yeah.
Not ready. You can have A's up the ass. A's up the ass. But if socially you're not ready, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle. So that's the point that we always keep talking about with people like, well, they 18, they grown. For real? Where they going? The best place for them to go is to be able to go to a college dormitory for 4 years and all that. But if you think you can put them out and they're gonna get a job and they're gonna get an apartment and all that stuff and pay bills and all that and maintain it, then you must got a place for them to come back shortly after a few months. It's this shit is not aligned. I'm sorry to say. It's not aligned. It's and I've been saying this stuff for years, even working in a high school. I said, how is 12th graders you have 20 assignments for a quarter, 2025, and we know when you go to college, you had like 4 or 5 things you get graded on. You might have
Mhm.
a test, you might have a research paper, you might have a couple tests, you might have 4 or 5 ways to earn a grade, and that's it. And
Yeah.
it's based on that. And if you fuck up on that, you fail the class. So why? Because again, because I worked at a college, so I understood the program, and I also understood standard of academic progress. That if you're not at a certain level at a college, and you don't got a certain amount of credit hours and a certain GPA, your ass will be academically dismissed. They don't talk about that in high school.
Nope.
They don't warn these kids. You take up financial aid, this and that, your ass ain't on point, you're dismissed,
Bye bye.
and you got a bill to pay, and that bill will travel with you for the rest of your life. It's crazy that you some of the things is just not being told. It's like a hidden secret. Like, well, it's called a hidden agenda. There's a hidden agenda with a lot of things that happen that's not being told and not being explained. And like these kids don't understand. You you got a certain opportunity, you got a certain window, and you have to accomplish it. If not, you fail to the vices. And that's just the way that's just the way it is, especially when you get to college or whatever. You gotta achieve. You gotta be there. You're gonna be gone. But again, I want to go back to that point that as a senior and you have 20 assignments in a class, but then you got to transition into college and you only have 4 or 5, and you're like, what? Wait a minute. I can't make this up. I can't do this. I can't turn that in. Nah, gee, that's why you got a syllabus. That shit is due when it's due. Unless you can advocate for yourself and go talk to your professor and say, hey professor, this is going on, and they're like, okay, all right, I'll give you a week extension, so. But you got to advocate for
Hmm.
yourself. You don't, mommy, daddy have shit to do with you once you get to college. In fact, they can pay your tuition and all that. And that's why the great Dave Ramsey said, that's for parents. Don't invest no money. Don't save no money for your kids to go to college, because they can get all that stuff for free if they perform in high school academically wise, whatever, that they can get scholarships and all that. If you put your 401, your life savings into somebody going to college, and you saved up all this money, you're a fool in sheep's clothing. You're a fool, because your ass, they could be dismissed and you lost out. You lost out. But
Tuitions are
again,
non-refundable.
the transition from high school to college ain't the same. To me, in your senior year, you should have 4 or 5 grades. That's it. Got a big paper. You got this and this. You got that. You got maybe a quiz and all that. You got 4 or 5 grades to prepare you, because when you get to college, that's all you have. If you bomb the first test, you got to find a way. Maybe you could do better on the research paper and all that, but you done dug yourself a hole that you got to get out of, and stuff is not aligned together.
Speaking of which, I think that's why Canada, yes, I'm going to invoke a different country, has a 13th grade. I believe they still have it, and that's a college prep course. And I think they're doing just what you're advocating, because it is a major transition, especially for people who go and they've never had to be on their own. And the parent was always there to wake them up. The parent was always there to make them their meals. They never do worry about a balanced meal. They ever never had to. They have never ever had to worry about where the meal come from, when to eat. College, that is completely different. You set your own schedule. You're doing your own laundry. You have to set up your own time to study. You literally are doing everything yourself. So a lot of people who have never been on their own, they struggle because they don't understand what it means to actually set something up. I think that's why a generation ago, latchkey kids when they got to college, they were okay because they had been used to doing this stuff. They had been used to going home. I get out my clothes, do my schoolwork, go outside and play. Parents gonna be home for dinner. Like that. Nowadays, no such thing as a latchkey kid. These kids ain't left home. These kids are not left home alone by themselves. Ask them to cook. Their ideal of cooking is what is the Takis you say? Go and get something, put it in the microwave, turn on the stove, put some pasta in some water, or make a pork chop, or cook a steak or some eggs. They can't do that. What's that? Do my own laundry? I ain't doing that. My mom does. Your
But
mother's
hold
not.
up. Like all this stuff intertwined. So, and I always had these experiences. So it reminds me. Just the other day, I was talking to a student at dismissal time, and she was saying something. I said, "What you about to do? Go home?" And they had good grades. And I was like, "What you about to go home? Making some oodles and noodles?" And they looked at me like, "What?" Then I was like, "Well, oh, a hot pocket." And I just kept naming things like pizza rolls that I was like, "This is what probably middle school kids will be able to do. Something you could throw in the microwave, another real quick, and eat as a snack before you get home." And the one girl was like, "Come on now, Mr. Glover, why you got us eating sped meals?" And I was like, "Wow, sped meals." She said, "Special education." I said, "You act like you going there frying up chicken and making this and that." I said, "These are things that kids, simple things that to hold you over." And I said, "Y'all come up with anything, sped sped meals." And I said, so, but it goes to show you this is where they're at. And I'm thinking something basic that you could give for a kid. Okay, you can eat this peanut butter and jelly. Like peanut butter and jelly. Who eats that? That's gross. Bowl of cereal, something. They asses think they supposed to have steak and potatoes after school, and anything throwing a hot pocket in the microwave is a sped meal. Like you got to be slow to eat those meals. And I was like, I never heard that one before. I said, I never used that one. A sped meal. So I guess
Wow.
anything that anybody throw in the air fryer or whatever you think you do, it's probably sped. It's sped.
Wow.
It's a sped meal.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny as hell. Yeah, I never heard of that either. But yeah, man, yeah, man, these it's wild, man. Just to see the differences between when we were their ages and the things that we took for granted in terms of our capabilities. I see it with my job. The second job I have is these youngsters, these young adults are nowhere near what we were when we were their age. You at 18, 19, some of us were going to school and working a part-time job. These kids, forget about it. They cannot do it. Now, whether we say they weren't prepared or they don't have the aptitude, one thing's for certain. You will find less of these kids able to go to school and do a job outside of school, even a paper route. Because I remember having a friend that did a paper route before before he went to school. So he would have to get up at 5:30, put the inserts in the paper. We used to help him sometimes with the Sundays, get them delivered, and be at the bus stop at whatever time it was to make sure they caught the bus to school. Now, granted, uh, computers have eliminated that, but I think that's part of the part and parcel of the problem is that all the things that prepared us for the workforce, they're no longer available. So, paper routes, some of these kids can't earn money. Well, at least the girls, the boys really would ever get a babysitting job just because of the thought process behind it. But anyway, so the young girls don't babysit. They don't understand what it means to prepare something like for a kid. The two they have, 6, 7 year old kid, first grade. The parents want to get away, so they say, "Hey, look, you have a teenage daughter, don't you? Yeah, 16. I'll pay her $20 an hour to come watch my kids. They're at home on the phone, social media. They don't know what the kids getting into. Parents call just checking in. Where are my kids? Oh, they're asleep. Kids running around and got into the baby powder, got into some makeup, a whole lot of things. And they thinking they sleep because the kid's on the phone. That's, I mean, and people will say, okay, well, that's not that big of an issue. No, until you think about how it impacts them when they're working. Just just last week, we got a new policy coming up in my job. No cell phones on people on your person. Period. They're to be stored in your car or in a work locker. Why do you think that is? People on their phones and the eyesight of the public, and it's not a good look. It looks like you're unprofessional. It looks like you're not doing your job. All the stuff stems from not having etiquette, not having the IQ. What do they call it? Intelligence quotient. People not understanding that there's some things you don't do in certain places. You want to be on your phone, be in the back where people can't see you. You want to make a phone call, go where people can't hear. People don't want to do that. So now you get the legislation that comes down like a hammer, and the people are going to bitch and moan and complain. Well, damn, look in the mirror. You want to blame somebody? Blame that individual. You're not happy with the rules? Look at your coworker. Did you ever tell them, hey, look, go in the back with that? And the first thing, you're not management. No, I'm not. But you know what? You're going to ruin it for everybody else. I'm just asking you. Have some decorum on the back. And that's the type of leadership that's missing. It's missing from everybody from the the adult all the way down to the kid. Because what we get now is we get the young adults who are coming into the workforce. They're fresh out of college with a bachelor's. Maybe they went on and pursued a master's, but guess what? They don't have any practical experience, and they grew up in an age where having a cell phone on you and out was okay. It wasn't frowned upon. They weren't told that it was poor etiquette. They weren't told that it was bad business. Hell, I've seen people. Oh, I'm sorry, I got a phone call. You're in the middle of a business transaction. Let that go to voicemail. You got a text. Text ain't going nowhere.
Well, see,
Respond to it later.
and part of that is coaching and teaching, whatever. Too many adults, too many adults are trying to cover ground for their kids that are adults and worried about everything that they do or trying to cover for them. Oh, such and such. They 25, 26, 27, moved on with their life. As an adult. Oh, you got to pay their rent. You got to do this. You got to do that. Or they're calling you at your job. When you work your job, you tell people, unless it's an emergency, don't call
Don't
me.
call me.
Don't text me. Do not do anything. I'm at work. You know that. That's standard. I work from this time to that time. We ain't shooting this shit at my job. And considering what a person does, you should know that.
Yeah.
But too many people give free reign, free reign to kids calling this and that all times or any time just because they having a breakdown or whatever. I'm at work. I'm at work because if you think about it, back in the days, you would have no access to your parent unless you called the main switchboard number, and if you got too many calls, it would be monitored.
Mm-hmm.
Another personal phone call,
Mm-hmm.
another such and such, and you would eventually end up getting terminated. But now, in the days again, because we haven't changed, we haven't changed policies and all this stuff. And like you said, they create policies in the spare of the moment, but they didn't transition into these changes that say, hey, when you get hired, we don't have cell phones. You're not allowed to have this. But before you could have and do all of this stuff, and and even times at schools, kids say, "Oh, we have our cell phones away. We can't use it. But how could you be on your cell? I'm fucking grown. Don't quit. Don't quit. I put in time for this. I put in time for that. But really, if you lead by example, we should have ours off and on. But we're all caught up in the same game, whatever, that we got hooked and we're used to it, checking our phones, responding to stuff because our communication level is easy, it travels faster, and we have more means to communicate. Back in the days when you probably went to work, they was at work. You couldn't deal with them till they got off, unless you call the main number. You better have a good reason. You better have a good reason to call mom or dad at work. It went over the nonsense, but the nonsense that people text or call their parents for now, it's out of control. Like, why are you calling me with this shit? Why are you texting me? But you know what? If you don't set the standard, you feed right into it. Oh, such and such. Let me text back, whatever. Like, if you don't get off my phone and the group chats and all of that stuff, it's too many variables that we can't keep up. Group chats and all that shit that be going on, notifications. We we're in a time that ADHD type of environment that we got so much going on that we can't focus on shit. Can't focus on a job because we're too preoccupied with our phones, group chats, different things. It's out of control. Eh, We responded. We didn't do our homework to be prepared for this. So we got this climate culture crisis.
I'm gonna play something. I want people to listen. I hope hopefully you can hear it.
Man, why are you always calling me? What do you want? Leave me alone. Please.
That's my
Man, why
ringtone.
you always calling me?
I don't know if it was audible or not, but that's my ringtone. It's just like David said. What you calling for? What do you want?
It's wild.
But man, yeah, man, basics. We have to, as a society. I could care less what your ethnicity is. I could care less what your culture is. We need to have some just very basic things down to decorum, down to how to treat other people because we're getting to the point now, and it's funny. Um, I went to Wegmans Saturday afternoon. Um, and there was somebody. The situation had worked out to where I had allowed somebody to go. I was at Ollie's first, and I let somebody go ahead of me because I had something that I needed to pick up at another cashier. And it's simple things like that that allows the world to almost run seamlessly. Because when I got the Wegmans, there was a gentleman, so I only had one item because I went back in to get a bamboo plant because I'd been searching for one because my other one was dying. And he said, you know what, you can go ahead and you only got the one item. Seamless things. A lot of people don't believe in karma. They say they poo-poo it and say, there's no such thing. I'm a firm believer in you reap what you sow. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Did you
about
call
to
me
step
Dave?
away for a second.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. Go ahead. I'm about to step away.
Okay. A lot of people don't believe in seamless transitions. They don't. I'm sorry, not seamless transitions. They don't believe in karma. They say, "Oh, that's not true. That don't happen like that." I'm here to tell you, if you put those kinds of things out, eventually they come back to you. Now, you don't have to be a believer. You don't have to subscribe to it. I'm just telling you, try it because the world is reciprocal. For it's like the laws of action. For everything you do, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's true with just about everything that we do in life. And Lord knows that some of the good things I've done, I've benefited tenfold. So I never ask, why did why did I get this? Why did this come to me? I know why. Because I put it out there. Shout out to Star. She always talks about this type of stuff on her Facebook platform. And now I'm at the point I'm just like, you know what? I expect good things to happen to me. I rarely expect bad things to happen to me. So when they do, I'm shocked. Like, damn, what the hell did I do to deserve this? I can go back and start thinking, who did I remotely offend? Who did I do something to that was less than becoming? This is why at my jobs, I go out of my way to give people grace. And I talk about this. You want grace? Give it. You will find yourself the recipient of things that you never thought you would ever get. Somebody at work ragging on you, just take note of it. Yeah, you ain't got to retaliate. Your good deeds, your hard work, people will see that. They'll say, you know what? That's not that individual. I've witnessed that individual just be mistreated by certain people, and they don't respond like that. They're not looking to get back at them. They're not looking to get even. I've seen people purposely try to besmirch their name. I've known people to lie on them in reports. I've known people to take credit for things that they've done that they really didn't come up with the concept of. People keep score. And people that pay attention, they know what's going on. You don't have to defend yourself. The truth will come out. Just like the whole situation we had with a fight after or the night of the election. All of a sudden now the person who was being chided on social media dropped the receipts. All of a sudden now the peanut gallery got real quiet. Shout out to D. Scott. I told people, I said, look, I know she can be a fire starter, but really, and I've known Denise 30 years. I said, really, is it without provocation that she says or does something? And people, no, you don't know her. I'm like, all right, just sit back and watch. And sure enough, it comes out in the wash. Just like stains, treated like comes out in the wash. So people, start understanding the role that you play in society. Yes, you may not control all of society, but you do control what's within your sphere. Anything that you can touch, anything that your voice reaches, anything that your thoughts can transform, you have the ability to impact. And try to be positive with your impacts. You don't need to be nasty to anybody. Trust me, if somebody's going through it, they don't need you to remind them of it. Their existence is that reminder. Their look physically, when they look in the mirror, that's a reminder. Trust me. You ain't got to say nothing to nobody. Just like, dare I invoke the past, the young or the woman now that was, I don't want to say frame it because that's really not the good term. the one who was adamant that I was father of the child and wasn't, and now she's dealing with her own hell. She put that out there. And like I said, you reap what you sow. So if you're out here doing dirt, eventually all that stuff you sweep up under the rug is gonna pile up under the rug to the point where you're gonna trip over it. Heaven forbid it's in your own house. Because that's the last place you want that kind of stuff is at home. Because if it blows up at home, it's going to impact the entire family. So the kids, your husband or your wife, the in-laws, people. Shit in order. And I'm not saying that because one day you might die and you don't want to leave a legacy of bullshit behind you. I'm just saying it makes life a lot easier to live. You don't have to explain stuff to your kids. You don't have to explain stuff to your mate because they see. They say every day this person gets up, puts in an honest day's work. They do it right. They ain't trying to get over on nobody. I like this person. So it might come down to a day, hey, look, something's going real bad. Your car won't start. You're flat tire. You ain't got nothing to give anyone for help. And they say, you know what? It's on the house. I got you. And people say, damn, what did I do to deserve this? You might think you're unworthy, but the powers that be, karma has sought to reward you for your good behavior, for being a decent human. That's all. That's all anyone should, could, and want from anybody, is just to be a good human. But for some people, they'll never be. Go ahead, Dan.
It reminds me years ago when I worked at Bryan and Stratton College, and I think I was having car issues, and I knew my value of being there because I hadn't probably accumulated enough time during that time that I could have took off, but just my presence being there, that I had people that my department or the people I work closely with, they had like a whole shift going on. Like, okay, I'm gonna pick them up today.
Mhm.
You're gonna take them home,
Mhm.
or whatever the case is. So, like for the 2 or 3 days that I was without a car, that I had coworkers, coming to get me in the morning. Then somebody just they worked it out that somebody would drop me off. Then it got to the point even on the weekends, one of the persons like, I don't do nothing on the weekends, David. I know you um, might have things to do, might move around. You can get my car.
Mhm.
I could drop you off on Friday. You can get my car and you can keep it, or maybe just check in with me to see if I have anything to do. And I'm like, wow, like
Mhm.
who does that? But they appreciated my presence and what I did, that like we don't want him to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So whatever he needs to he get back on track, that we're willing to do it. Now some of y'all might be listening, especially like my niece or whatever, she may say, Uncle, you was a Melvin. She may say that, but and I doubt if she's watching it. But she may see a clip on TikTok if it makes it to the status to get clipped through AI, whatever. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes the way you move, sometimes the way that you behave, that it sets a different culture or climate for people.
Mhm.
I don't know how certain people can continue to go on and they can reach a certain age and you still stay in the same climate or same culture with people. That's a part of growth and development. Sometimes you outgrow people. They might have been your homeboy for 30 years, but you like, man, I'm 50. I don't like the way they move.
Yeah.
I'm not about to respond to everything. You can stop calling me or whatever, or I'm gonna have to give them a firm directive. Listen, I work this, I do this. Can't call me during these times.
Yeah.
If you text me, that's it. If I don't respond back, that means I'm busy. And until I get back to you, don't keep calling me back to back. That's growth, and
Mm-hmm.
that's development, and that's
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortableness, whatever. That sometimes that has to happen. I don't know. There's people that will be your lifetime, long time friends and all that stuff, but typically those people, yeah, move the same. Y'all on the same level, or y'all have the same thought process. But as soon as somebody start moving different as you get older, you say, oh, fuck with them like that. Or we cordial, we civil, we always go have love and all that stuff. But the way they move is different from the way that I move. And these things is part of the culture that impacts kids, impacts the way the world moves. That if you're not moving with the sign of times, or you haven't, you can't think, you can't be doing the same thing or thinking the same way when you was 30 as you are 50.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense. And plus, shit, we get older, we slow down. We
Oh yeah.
can't do it. We can't do it. We can party and hang out on 30 and be like, all right, back at it the next day. Shit, when you get started getting and shit in your late 30s, 40s, and all that, take you like 2, 3 days to recover. We just don't have that time. So you move differently, whatever. For those that still trying to do it, they faking jacks.
Yeah.
They're struggling. They're struggling with every component, but they'll keep doing it and keep doing it. But you say, nah, that's not the world I live in. My profession don't allow me to go into work dragging, struggling, or whatever the case is. Maybe I have that happen to me a couple times here and there on certain occasions, but that's not a weekly thing or something that I want to partake in. But again, I'm saying this to be saying it's all a part of the culture because kids see it, they understand it, and they watch how you move. If a kid know, man, my dad and mom, all that shit, they worked, and everything I asked for, they was able to give to me. I had a good life. I fucked up on things, but they gave me everything they could give me, and they put me in a position to be successful. I chose to go the other route
Mm-hmm.
behind peers and all that stuff. And then sooner or later, they'll be able to admit it's on them as they get older. Uh, but there's so many variables to this that shit, we can't uncover it. Everything is a drive by, and we not focused on the right things to begin with. But when we think about schools, everything that happens, just understand everything that happens at home, sooner or later get back to the school, somewhere
Oh
or
yeah.
the other, somewhere or the other. You ain't got shit to eat in your house, it's gonna get back to the schools because either they gonna be trying to steal stuff or asking for everybody else stuff or whatever. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. If you don't have no money to wash clothes and they wearing slides and shit, Crocs and stuff, and you see they socks dirty as hell, somebody ain't wash clothes. I'd be damn a kid of mine ever wear something like that and they fucking socks is filthy. I'd be damn. I'm big on that. I'm a socks guy. So I'm big on that, whatever. Like, where the fuck you going with that shit up? But you see certain things that you're like, whoa, who let that kid like shit's white and they fucking black, like filthy, whatever. Somebody struggling with laundry issues or not taking care of that. Yeah. So that only make you think, shit, if it ain't the socks, shit, female or male, then they underwear probably not. They getting shit out the dirty clothes. Mm.
Yeah. It's real.
Well,
That is real. I want to leave you guys with these 5 names or 10 names, if you will. I'm going to set the parameters for you. and let you judge for yourself so you can understand how a teacher's mindset can impact the way that they treat their students. East Indian couple. All these couples are married. Their names are Mir and Maya. Asian couple. Name is Jenna and Akil. Caucasian couple. Obviously, you probably figured out the names. Brad and Karen. Native Black American couple. Names are Xavier and Keisha. Johnson, Smith, Lee, and Singh. Hispanic, Jose and Maria Perez. Of these couples, who do you think the teacher's probably not going to want to meet and sit down with if the child is having disciplinary problems? Something for you to ponder. And as always, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time. Weigh your own prejudice. Let me know what you think. Or don't.
And again, we're not done with the subject matter. We don't know. We might run back another aspect of it, or we may come back with something regarding Thanksgiving and all that. You just never know. That's what we do. We just fill it out, have these conversations, and know what's what. And we only speaking from the heart and speaking reality and trying to open up eyes and make you see another way. Like, damn, I never thought of it being like that. So, well, good people, we won't see y'all until after the Thanksgiving holidays. Again, we let off talking about this. Be safe, enjoy your family. If it ain't in you, don't break your neck or your back or whatever trying to get somewhere. Sometimes Thanksgiving is peace, and do what you can do, but don't overdo it. And keep a good peace of mind and be thankful for what you have. Thankful for the potential for the future and opportunities. And at the end of the day, enjoy your for family. For y'all fools, don't get caught up in that Black Friday shit. Do not get caught up in that shit that you go broke and all that because they got a good sale on another big screen TV or whatever the case is. You only can have so much of them shit. If you got a 65 last year and they coming out with the 75 for the same, and you're a damn fool, whatever. Tell them to shut that shit up their ass, whatever.
I might,
Keep
you know what? Because I still need to furnish out my living room, so I might be one of the fools that might be looking on Black Friday for a flat screen.
Well, that's different. You said you trying to get one, but it's
Yeah.
people buy them shits every year, and it does not make sense.
Yeah. I got. You know what the funny thing is? I had a coupon for Ollie's area carpet with tax. Probably would have cost me about 1.8. Probably about $170 with the coupon. Shoot, I slid out there with some other things for about $1.50. I was like, I'll take it. People, because I'm getting ready to buy a waterproof composite floor. I'm gonna lay that in my living room, and then I'm gonna put the area rug down and paint it. It should look grand because the furniture is gonna match. I'm gonna paint the mats, and then I'm gonna get that big old flat screen TV and get the windows put in. By the time I'm done with this house, yeah, it's gonna be just what I said. Women gonna walk in here and pen's gonna come right off.
With that said, we out. Drop those drawers coming soon at Herb's house. Herb's house. We out, good people. Everybody be safe. Have a good holiday. See y'all next time. Peace. Herb's house.